The alarm's going off, man. Stop hitting snooze. I need you. If you're looking to feel like warm and fuzzy inside, like I'm your guy. So they're in my top 20 EHL teams for sure. There's emotion, there's hatred. This is not like a very friendly series. It's like SpongeBob when he's got like the napkin and like the potato chip. Like that's how I feel. Listen, Colson, I didn't have fun. Everything in my body hurts right now. The team that has the lead in the second period is just not going to win that game. There's no need for air quotes. He's tardy all the time. It's the American thing to do. I was alive, just not buried. No, don't get pucks deep. Hang on to the puck. Pass the puck. Shoot the puck. Are we live? Are we live? We're having a good time. JKP, baby. JKP.
Hello, E-Show, and welcome back into our Summer Coaches Series edition of the E-Show podcast. Up next for the East Division is Seahawks Hockey Club head coach Bill Zaniboni. Coach Zaniboni, part of the most fun coaching staff in the league. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. And start things off, we'll take a look at that, unbelievable turnaround that you guys had, from December on. You guys went 19-7-2. So when and how did you realize something special was going on with this group as they were starting to turn things around?
Well, I think it was long before we started to win. Something that we talked about, like we had a good group of returners last year, obviously led by Cory Kashul. We had Connor Evans, we had Isaac, Saljuji and Net. Like we had like some good pieces. And I think, we saw our first year guys that had it, just didn't understand, I think, how, a lot of guys come into our league not understanding how good it is, how hard it is to win every day, and how consistent you need to be. I think it took a little bit longer than obviously we wanted to, but we knew we had like some really good pieces. And we were excited about it. And the kids were like, they were excited every day to come to the rink. They never let winning and losing like dictate their attitude. They stayed focused. So I think it was really early on that we kind of knew we had a really good group. And whether we won or lost, not that it was irrelevant, but we knew it was going to come at some point. So we just kind of stuck with it. And to be honest with you, like we had a blueprint like written on the coaches board at the start of the year because we knew we were so young. Like games 1 through 20 was just talking about staying disciplined within systems and being positive and building culture. And then games 20 through 46 was like, all right, that's our push to win. And I think as a staff between Cory, myself, and Coach Mike, like I think we did a really good job of really staying focused on that at times. And it gets frustrating when you lose. But that's why it was written on the whiteboard so we could kind of go in and kind of reset our minds as well as a staff.
Yeah, I mean, right on track, though. The last 28 games were that 19-7-2 record. So perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did turn out very well. Obviously the kids are the ones doing it. It's not us.
Yeah, so exactly. How did they kind of show their resiliency to you, especially early on where some of the games were a little bit one-sided, maybe they had a little struggle scoring goals sometimes. How did they show their resiliency and kind of not lean into that frustration?
Yeah, I think it was a group effort. I think, the locker room was always positive after games. I think the message from us was, stay with it. It was good. Like, I think might have been game 2. I think we opened up at home against the Avalanche and we got blown out. And, instead of going in and getting angry, like we just walked in and we're like, hey, like this is great for us. Like this at this time of year, like this is awesome for us to see like, okay, what is it gonna take to win? How good is the league? Like, don't take this as a negative thing. And we didn't take it as a negative thing as coaches. So I think the message that we portrayed helped the guys understand, like, okay, they know it's a process. We're gonna believe in the process. We also had a group of kids that like they wanted to be good, and it wasn't just talk. It was, off the ice in the gym with our trainer. It was doing extra video sessions. It was, listening to them having conversations about what they were having for dinners after, like. Guys wanted to get better. Guys wanted to get stronger. They really wanted to make a push as a group, and that doesn't happen all the time. So as a staff, to hear that kind of stuff, like that's the stuff that kept it fun for us. Like we were like, man, this is what an unbelievable group of kids and character that we have. And you can't lose sight of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the ice, what kind of trends did you notice that showed that this group was on the right track, especially as games started to get a little bit tighter before that winning streak really hit in?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of stages in our season. Obviously, the first 2 months we struggled to win. We lost a couple of big games, um, and then as it started to get closer to like the Haverhill showcase, we were really like pushing to win and pushing for tight games and stuff like that. And uh, I think our guys started to get a little like angry at themselves to not perform. So like at the beginning, it was like, okay, we're trying to figure it out. And then when they started to feel that they got it figured out, I was like, why are we not? It's like, okay, well now we need that little extra, that little more consistency throughout the week and stuff like that. So again, I think it was all part of that learning process because we had so many guys that haven't played juniors, and um, they jump in and thinking that like the EHL is their backup plan, right? When you're recruiting them, and then they get here and it's a big eye opener to them going, oh my God, I really have to, maybe I'm not as good as I was, or maybe this is just a lot better than I thought it was, and it's bigger, stronger. And, um, I need to bring more to the table. And I thought our guys did a great job of kind of holding themselves accountable to get us over that hump.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And right before Thanksgiving, Cory, who you mentioned earlier, Cory Kashul, your captain, one of the best people that I've met working in hockey, he said to me that you guys were right there after I think it was a shootout or overtime loss. And just how instrumental was his leadership in terms of the buy-in the boys had all throughout the season, but especially in that first half?
Yeah, I think so. Cory came in with like a really good message last year. The year before was it was honestly like it was a really trying year. We had a very old group that year. We did not have a lot of success. We upset the Terriers in the playing game to push to the playoffs. Um, but I think he was a rookie that year, and he learned a lot and didn't say a ton, but kind of took it all in. And then when he became the captain coming in, one of his biggest things was like, I want to make sure every guy can feel comfortable being who they are as a person. And we need to make sure that that environment happens and we accept everyone for who they are. And I think, we try to make sure our captains have that say in the locker room. We honestly try not to go in there a ton. Um, I want them to feel like that's their space. But I think he did a tremendous job of doing that, and making sure guys felt accepted every day. Obviously, like for us, we don't get a ton of local kids, so we have guys from everywhere. And I think it's a great part of junior hockey is to have all that different diversity and to have a leader like that was his main message. It wasn't to come in and win. It wasn't anything like that. He's like, we're gonna win, but we're gonna win because guys are gonna give everything because they know that guys care about the room. And I think that message from him, it wasn't from us, it was from him, I think spoke, volumes of what we had. And it made the younger guys feel comfortable to go out and play and then want to push a little bit harder for the guy next to him.
Yeah. I mean, I think, speaking from my experience, just getting to be around all the teams, like this was one of the tightest, most, fun and outgoing groups that
Yeah.
I came across. Like they became the most enjoyable to be around for sure.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. It was for us too. Like we were, we told them nonstop throughout the year too, like how, you know, not like how excited we were about that, just how lucky we were as a staff to be able to be a part in their story, as their hockey careers.
No doubt
And
about it.
I think Cory's going to go on to be a captain in Norwich by the time he's a junior, just because of who he is and how accountable he holds himself.
Yeah. Oh, there are a few people better than Cory Kashul. No.
Yeah.
And as far as some other individual guys go, you had a lot of forwards that really found their game as the season moved on, really put up some really great numbers. Danny Kehoe was one of them, a guy. It's going to be a returner as well. So, given what he showed you this past season, how could he continue on this trajectory to be one of the best forwards in this league?
Well, again, I think part of that is he was an assistant captain as a first year guy under Cory. So he got to see how Cory wanted to manage things and get guys together. I think that was a huge learning process for Danny. Um, he came in and for us as a staff, like we kind of fell in love with his game. He's a big guy. He plays a big game. Um, he's definitely a positive person, and I don't see that being a negative trend at all. I think the only thing that's happened now is he's gained a year of experience. He was a point per game guy. He's going to continue to get better throughout the summer and stronger. Um, we're actually pretty fortunate to have him back because he had, 4 or 5 offers to go this year. And he was like, I want to come back and be the captain. I want to continue to grow my game. So like his mindset is fantastic to go on to be really successful this year and to continue to be successful at the collegiate level because he's always gonna push himself.
When we talked during the year, about how many returners you guys could possibly have, you said that, Colin Duffy and Jacob Roberts were two guys that were leading the charge and wanting to keep as much of this group together as possible. And a lot of guys are coming back. So when you have, guys who are so bought into the culture like those two, how confident do you feel in that side of the season coming into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely obviously it's exciting for us to have so many returners just because the year before we didn't have a ton. Um, and not just as hockey, but as people. Like to have those people come back into your locker room to me is almost more valuable than good hockey players. We're kind of just lucky that they are good hockey players. But yeah, I mean they those guys I think were kind of the catalyst of making sure guys were on the same page and very excited. Like they were always excited to be at the rink. Um, I think attitude and energy are very contagious, when you're around that kind of stuff. And I think if any guys were on the fence and stuff like that, that's the stuff that we're like, what, I had a great experience. I loved it. I'm just gonna go back and play and see what happens. And um, that again, that's not from us. That was from the guys that we're fortunate enough to be around.
Yeah, I mean Duffy, he after you guys lost game one against the Wizards, he looked at me and he was like, I think it was the game three was supposed to be on Sunday, and he was like, I'll see you on Sunday. And I was like, I believe you, man. He's like, not a single
Yeah.
player in this locker room like wants to go home right now. That's the biggest thing. Like they were just tight. They were just connected.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know just from keeping tabs throughout the summer, a lot of guys have been traveling, visiting each other, and um, again, like at the end of the day, hockey's going to be over. They're going to play beer league and men's league somewhere. So the network and the memories that they make uh, are just invaluable.
Yeah, that's the biggest part. Absolutely.
Yeah,
In goal, Isaac Saljugi and Cade Chapman obviously shared the net. Cade, arrived mid-season, and that was when your goaltending kind of was at its strongest point throughout the year.
yeah,
So how did his arrival both solidify things for the team, but help boost Isaac as well, who had a great winning streak after Cade got there?
yeah. I think it helps. I think unfortunately, at times I think complacency is part of the human nature, and you know, I, we kind of struggled to find someone else at the start of the year that could compete with Isaac and push him. Um, and when Cade came available, for us it was like, man, we need someone else to, for one, kind of give Isaac a rest, for two, to maybe kind of light a fire a little bit to get what we know we can get out of him. And it was kind of an easy decision. And then when Cade came in, like the first thing he said is, I'm here to win. And I was like, oh, that's a great way to walk into a locker room, and and he did. I mean, I think it helped our players on the bench feel more confident to go out and play. I think it helped Isaac, like, all right, someone else is going to be able to get some wins for us here besides me. Um, and you hate to say it, but it's not like hockey's not an individual sport. No matter how good players are, you need other guys to step up and play in big time. And Cade was that guy that we needed to kind of solidify our group as we move forward.
And one last pair of guys to note are two defensemen, Alex Friedman and Garrett Bouschor, who are both poised for really good age out years. They had great years as 05s this past year. So when you have, two strong, solid, smooth moving defenseman, that a veteran presence back on your blue line, how much easier does that make things for keeping pucks out, knowing that you guys have that presence already there?
Yeah, I think I mean, it's huge, right? Our biggest thing is we don't have a veteran returning goalie. So last year we had the veteran returning goalie, and had, one returning defenseman, which was Plamondon.
Come on.
So yeah. So, now it's kind of flip-flopped a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we're excited. I think, Freeds and Bousch did a great job last year for us. They played big minutes in their rookie year. Um, and they played big spots. Like they both run power play, they both run penalty kill. Um, so they have some great experience already coming into the year. Now, obviously, when they come to camp, they gotta re-solidify that stuff. But we know that those two guys can do it. So as a staff, we're excited. I know our I guess our new staff members, Seth Gustin is already, he's already been on calls with all our returning D, and has watched them play and stuff like that, and has a plan of attack for those guys, and hopefully it just continues to make us stronger and more competitive every day.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we do have to talk about the premier team from this past season. Their run was unbelievable, and just like the EHL, they were just a really good group of human beings. So, you
Yeah.
know, throughout those first couple rounds of the playoffs, the teams were just so unbelievably supportive of each other, traveling to watch each other, signs in the crowd, noisemakers, everything. So when you think about those moments and like the video that they took after, the P team won in Walpole in game two, just how much pride do you take in that being such a big part of the season?
Yeah, I think it's huge. It's part of, like, when we started this thing 8 years ago, we only had one team. It was just the EHL team, and we tried to build it the right way. And again, like, we're in a little bit of a different geographic area, so you have to build things in pieces. And when the opportunity came to add a premier team, that was our main goal. Like, how can we do this to where it's beneficial for everyone involved? And for one, it was, try to, we talk about promotion as EHL to NCAA. Well, Premier to EHL needs to be the same. It has to have the same mindset. Um, we had like 60 plus games played this year from guys on our Premier team up to EHL. So I think that helps a ton. Our locker rooms are connected. Like, there's no division, like, within our setup for our guys. And we were just fortunate to have really good leadership on that team. Uh, and the guys that were new that came in, kind of jumped in 2 feet. So to see that kind of stuff, I mean, that's the stuff that people will remember, in 5 years. Like, I think at times, like, you forget who won championships, but it's good. They're going to remember, like, driving to that game, fans ripping down our signs and stuff like that. Like, that's, like, to me, it's like comical. Like, it's like a great hockey environment. Um, and the atmosphere last year in Plymouth was great. Like, I was fortunate enough to go to those games and watch those guys, and they had a great run. And it was another group that didn't want to separate at the end. Uh, Coach Mike does a good job, and those he's got a handful of returners that are coming back. And, we're excited about that group as well. And Will Rose, I think, he'll make the jump up to us permanently. He did a good job last year when he came up for us. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting to kind of see what happens this year. But last year was something, we're, again, very specially a part of.
Yeah, and you mentioned the returners. I mean, for Coach Richard's team, Carson Lowe and Oren Friedman, two of the top guys in the entire league, not just his
Yeah.
team, are
Yeah.
coming back. So can you speak for Coach Richard for a moment, just how he's feeling going into this season, knowing that he's got two of his top dogs right there with him?
Yeah. I mean, I, I think that's the good thing between us. Like, we're a little bit different mindset when it comes to hockey. Obviously, he's offensive. I'm a little more defensive. Um, so, to have two top guys in the league coming back for him, point wise, veterans, know what it takes to win, I think is astronomical, just to start to set the tone at the start of the year, in the locker room. Carson has grown tremendously in 2 years for us, not just as a player, but as a person. Um, Oren's done a great job. Started our U18 program, came over to the Premier, has really developed. Actually, he's living here on the Cape, training right now. Um, so yeah, again, to have guys like that come back and that are excited, that want to be here, um, and want to get guys on their page. I mean, those guys think, they lost in the Final Four. They think right now they have a chance at winning this thing. So, which every team should probably right now at this time of year.
Yeah. I
So
mean, especially with the way, Carson left it all out there in that series against the Wolves. I mean, you talk about emptying the gas tank, like,
yeah,
absolutely did that.
yeah. I mean, he was snake bitten, but I his game was awesome to watch.
Yes. No
Yeah,
doubt about that. And he was one of the guys who was spotting into games at the EHL level all throughout the year,
yep,
which you mentioned just so many man games. I mean, Austin Brownbright got double digit games. Wedo Rivera got a ton of games. So just
yep.
for the individual player themselves and the Seahawks model, how important is getting those guys involved throughout the year for you?
Yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, whether you're in the EHL, EHL Premier, or whatever league, like it's still development. Like that doesn't change, and we feel like in that development model that getting games are a big part of it, and um, when guys get hurt or whatever it may be, like it's a lot easier for us to grab a guy that's in our system that believes in our logo to just come up and play games. Um, so and a lot of those guys that you named were returning guys. So like they really believed in it to come back again at the premier level. Um, like what, we got to give those guys opportunities. I mean, that's, it's loyalty. It's the guys that you want to be around that want to be with you.
Yeah, 100%. And you were emphatic about this all year, coach, that the thing that made this group so special was how much fun it was just to be at the rink every day, and that when it ended, that was the toughest part. So, you mentioned that the memories, the room, the groups, that's the most important thing when you look back. So, when you're going to look back about this last Seahawks group from 24-25, what kind of things do you think are going to stand out in your head?
Oh man, we have a lot. Like the guy that doesn't get talked about a lot, I thought that was a big glue guy is Zetcher. Like I mean, obviously he was a little chaotic on the ice and caused disturb some things at times. But that's who he is. But like the off ice stuff, the just the guys coming in laughing about something they did, the day before. I mean, I could say it now, but there was one. Cory Kashul worked at World Market here, or Whole Foods, and while he was at work, I mean they must have put about 9 pounds of Saran wrap around his car. And like the videos are getting thrown around in the group messages, and like it's just that stuff. Like that stuff always continues to get talked about. And again, I know where we were in the playoffs and stuff like that, but I don't remember game 10, but I remember, those guys and seeing the relationships between returners and rookies, as it started to get tighter. Like that's the stuff that you hope that, those guys remember and keep with them, because for us as coaches, and in the EHL, we're fortunate, but a lot of the coaches did play at high levels. Like that's what you remember back from our playing days. You don't remember a ton of games, but you remember the locker room and the travel and the memories that you can make as a group.
100%. I love that, coach. And one last bonus question I do have for you is, I believe it was after the last showcase of the year that you had to suit up for EHL skate, got in net with those guys. So how
I
was that?
did.
And, anybody leave you feeling silly in goal at all, or no?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course. I did it. So I did wait till playoffs were over.
Okay.
Um, I definitely didn't want to be a distraction for anyone, and it took some time for me to piece some equipment together. Um, but once I found it all, we bleached it and got all the mold off it. I did a 2 hour skate with the guys. Um, I not that I wanted to, but I did let them do breakaways and stuff, and that's where the hips and the knees started feeling it. But yeah, it was fun. It was actually I thought I couldn't walk the next day, but I could. I actually felt fine. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And, they deserved it. And I gotta, we always talk about being people of our word. You got to own up to it and you got to go. So it was fun. I think the kids had a blast. So.
That's what it's all about in the end. And I got to say, one of the groups that I'm most looking forward to uniting with is this Seahawks group. I'm looking forward to all the media day stuff that I'm going to get to do with these guys. So, I'm super excited for you guys. Hopefully another year, great memories to come. So thank you for your time today, Coach, and good luck with everything.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you do, man. It's second to none, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org. And follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.